What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake NBA DFS Early Look CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_01. Now, of course, I'm from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all the social media platforms listed below or directly at WiseTake.com. We are a premium DFS content provider as well as a DFS community design to help make you a better DFS player. Go check us out at WiseTake.com for more information. Day pass is available to try us out, all that good shit. But if you are new to the channel, welcome. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notifications bell so you're notified whenever we go live and you don't miss any of the free DFS content we put out on YouTube, on Twitch, Podbean, iTunes, all the platforms. And hit the like button. Likes really go a long way. Help us out, help me out, allow me to continue to do the free content that we do on all the platforms. Please hit the like button. Shout out to Stephen B. Says, appreciate you guys. Thank you for what you do for us. Appreciate what you do for us. We're just hitting the like button, subscribing, all that good stuff. You know how I know Steven's always subscribed? Because I always see him in the YouTube chat. He's always showing his appreciation, always showing love. Appreciate you too. Okay, so it's been a weird start to the NBA season. We're at that point where it's too early to kind of really use the stats we're getting right now for this year in projections, but you're seeing that there's differences. Last year's statistics aren't necessarily cutting it either. So we're at that funky point. And it feels weird because normally we'd be really in the middle of the NBA season. But instead, it is the very, very beginning. We'll get into this slate in just a second. But before we do that, I want to wish those of you who are listening, watching, whatever the case is, a very happy new year. This is the last early look of 2020. The next time I do an early look, it'll be covering the slate of the first slate of 2021. So I appreciate those of you. It's been a rough year for a lot of people, and I appreciate those who have hung around with us through the KBO when we had no sports, through the League of Legends we had no sports when I had to step outside of my comfort zone. A lot of you guys stepped outside of your comfort zone with me, and for that I appreciate it. I think together we all did our part. It's a small part in the entirety of what everybody else had going on in life. But we had some kind of unity, some sense of community, and we had a common goal. We were trying to find ways to make money and do the dirty, if you will. And so I appreciate y'all, because now here we are, back in the NBA season, just about to finish with the NFL regular season that I think overall was a success, not just for us in DFS, which it was, but also for the league itself. A lot of risk going on. And here we are with some NBA. So very optimistic that things will pick up and we're on the right track to head back towards some kind of normal. And me, Paul Lee, everybody at the WiseTake Nation wanted to make sure that we wished everyone a truly happy, a truly blessed new year. And I'm extremely excited for the amazing things ahead in 2021. Before we can jump ahead to 2021, we got to finish out 2020 strong style. So let's get into it. 5 games, a little bit of an earlier slate, right? Thursday we have a 6:30 p.m. lock on DraftKings, and I'm glad they did that. Give us the 5th game. That's cool. So that means our pre-lock live stream that we do for WiseTake Nation subscribers at WiseTake.com will be what's that, like a 5:45 show? 5:45 p.m. Eastern is when we'll go live and take you guys up to lock. Which should be fine. Not a lot of games to cover. We'll start off with point guards. We got Harden, who's been awesome, but John Wall and Boogie Cousins are expected to make their debut, so you got to think that the usage is not going to just be for the hard-on. Ben Simmons is kind of okay, right? We know he's capable of paying off these prices, but kind of like Luka, kind of like some of these other studs, Anthony Davis, they haven't really showed us a whole ton just yet. I think we will as time goes on. I know Joel Embiid is questionable, but he's actually probable. So I don't know. He doesn't do a ton, but maybe he draws low ownership, something to keep an eye on. So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's usage has been awesome. Only took 10 shots against Orlando, which was just weird, but he still managed to go for 41 DraftKings points, which wasn't enough to pay off his salary, but the usage is promising. And if you look at what he did against Utah and Charlotte, didn't shoot the best, but did take 20 shots in each of those games. So I think from a usage perspective, we knew going from the preseason that we're going to have to look at this kid as, an 8K player opposed to the 6s and low 7s that we used to see last season when he was sharing all the usage. On the contrary, New Orleans has kind of been where fantasy production goes to die. We've seen a lot of teams play them, and for some reason, even in tight games, the New Orleans guys are doing what they do because they're playing like 8-man rotations at times. But we've seen a lot of teams that have played them so far, or the teams that have played them so far, have just not been productive from a fantasy level. So that's one drawback. But 8-1 on a small slate, definitely going to get some exposure. De'Aaron Fox just went for 47 DraftKings points against Denver. This looks too cheap. Now, I anticipate him having high ownership because of it, but it definitely looks too cheap for a player that's gone for, over 40 DraftKings points in 3 out of the 4 games. Did have one bad game. Looks like he got in some foul trouble. But it looks fine against Houston, who I would anticipate to continue to play fast, even with John Wall there. And we know Boogie's not starting, so I can dig it. Speaking of John Wall, what are we doing with John Wall? I know I kind of skipped over these guys, but what are we doing with John Wall? He's 7-1. Looked really good in the preseason. I'm curious to hear if there's any kind of minute restriction or limitation. But I'm interested at John Wall 7-1. First regular season game in a long time. And I'm not going to go over every player. I know I'm kind of talking because I'm getting excited about the slate. I always get excited when we're first breaking into a new slate. And yeah, there's Chris Paul at 7K, Conley at 6-7. I think the most interesting play to me though at this point is Markelle Fultz. Right? Everybody's talking about Markelle Fultz in line for most improved player of the year. I don't disagree. He's been awesome. The price is up to 6.3, but I think that's a narrative-driven price, right? I'm just kidding. Obviously, he was 6.6 and 6.1, so it's not that far off. But he's been pretty consistent. The usages look good, right? He's contributing kind of everywhere, getting assists, getting rebounds, and obviously taking a ton of shots, which is something he struggled with over his career, was the shooting. He's playing the team that drafted him and gave up on him on New Year's Eve. So narrative or not, either way, Markelle Fultz, I'm sure, is going to project pretty well for us in the morning when I do these projections. Elfrid Payton, he got the job done for us 2 games in a row. However, we've been specifically taking advantage of the injuries. Alec Burks specifically missed the last game, which led to Elf getting a ton of minutes in addition to missing quickly, in addition to missing Dennis Smith Jr. So we'll want to check the status on some of those Knicks. Frank Nitty we know is out. DSJ we know is out. Austin Rivers is questionable. He hasn't touched the court. And then obviously Quickly is questionable. So we'll have to see. But the biggest thing for me is Burks. If Burks is out, then I think Elf is going to play significant minutes unless Quickly's in. I think Quickly will eventually take the starting job over, but we're probably still a ways from that because he's coming over an injury himself. But yeah, I see. Yep. I'm with you, Stephen B. in the chat. Revenge game for Fultz. I'm with it. There's double revenge. We'll talk about when we get to that position. We'll talk about that. Eric Bledsoe, 5'6". I'm sure he'll project well, but if you look at what he's actually done on this team, he's definitely playing the 2, right? Because he just doesn't look like he has a whole ton of usage. And that's just not cool. That's just not something we love. Michael Carter-Williams, if you want to get real dirty for value, I don't mind playing 24 and 23 minutes. Typically plays better than what he's done. I'm a little disappointed in what we've seen from him lately, but it's there. Obviously, Jordan Clarkson, who just continues to do dirties despite not playing huge minutes. We know off the bench is just going to come out and shoot. So a lot of nice little tournament plays here. Halliburton looks like he's trying to take over Hield's role, right? They're kind of phasing out Hield. We can see for some reason the coach don't like Hield anyway. Not that I give a shit, but Halliburton seems to be impressing enough, right? He's not taking a ton of shots, but he has been fairly efficient. 5 for 7 in back-to-back games, 6 assists in back-to-back games. But again, I think the one that stands out for me right now is the cover boy Markelle Fultz. That's what I think. Going over to shooting guard, Devin Booker still pretty expensive, but in playing tournaments, Mitchell, same concept. The Knicks-Toronto game should be interesting, right? Because the Knicks are 2-2, Toronto's like 0-3. So you know they're going to get right at some point, and the Knicks could be that team to do it, right? So that's kind of interesting. If this game was in Toronto, I would give the narrative of RJ Barrett going back to Toronto, but obviously we know that they're not letting Americans like that up in there, right? Isn't that right? I forget where they're playing. Does anybody remember? If you remember, popping in the chat. Actually, where are Raptors? Tampa, right? Looks like Tampa, Florida. Talk about neutral. That's like a home game for New York, man. You know how many New Yorkers live in Florida? I know there's probably no fans. I'm just saying. We'll keep it moving. Eric Gordon's back, but so is everybody else, right? I don't see a ton here. Evan Fournier, I guess. 32 minutes. He had one good game against Miami and just hasn't really done a whole ton. So we can tell off the gate that this position is not like too pretty. Like the guys up top are okay, but their prices are elevated. Is there any type of value? Well, we talked about Clarkson. We've got him in the hole. I'm curious to see what this looks like on FanDuel, because of the strict positions, right? JJ Redick, man, he's been really burning me, man. I mean, I played him a bunch one day. He did bad, but then I played him a little bit since then. He's been terrible, been absolutely terrible. 1 for 8. What are you there for, JJ? Your coach ain't gonna play you regardless of your relationship with him if you're not hitting shots. But 3,700 on a small slate is kind of interesting, something to keep in the back of your mind for tournament purposes. But yeah, nothing new here. I think it's the guys we kind of stuck with. If Burks is ruled in, if he ends up playing, I don't mind Alec Burks. He's been pretty consistent, and Tibbs looks good. The reason he only got 20 minutes here against Milwaukee is because that's the game that he got hurt in. And he still went for 29 DraftKings points. So I would definitely consider Alec Burks if he's ruled in. Let's go to small forwards. We talked about Big Benny Simmons. Brandon Ingram, I'm cool with. I got no problems with Ingram. He's been going out there and doing his thing and taking a bunch of shots. The game against Phoenix was never close. It just never had a shot. But in the competitive games he's had outside of the Miami game, he's done really well. Against Toronto, went for 61. Against San Antonio, obviously went for 53. So we know the upside and ceiling is massive. But we got the Markelle Fultz. If we want some correlation on the other side, how about some Toby? Toby-Wan Kenobi, Tobias Harris, who played 38 minutes against Toronto, went for 53. Before that, looked like he had a pattern of heating up, right? He didn't do shit against Washington in a terrible game. Against the Knicks, went for 31, which wasn't great, but only got 31 minutes in a game that ultimately wasn't that close at the end. 28 minutes against Cleveland and another blowout style, but he still reached 41, and then finally in a close game against Toronto, he went for 53. So Joel Embiid is playing. He is probable. I should say he's probable with a sore back, carrying the team on his back though. But either way, Tobias Harris revenge. We know he played a lot of years in Orlando as well. I can get behind. So I like it. 7-1. Tournament style for now, right? We'll see if anything better opens up for cash game purposes. But yeah, those two guys kind of stood out to me the most. We're always going to play Basley. We just have a lot of faith in this kid. He sucked. He sucked. I mean, really 2 games in a row. But if you look at against Utah, he was 1 point away from a double-double, just shot terribly. And then he took 14 shots against Orlando with Horford out. Just once again, shot terribly. But we know he's got upside, double-doubles. We like double-doubles. Yes, we do. We talked about JJ Redick. You could play Michael Carter Williams here, which is kind of interesting if you really, really wanted the value. I mean, you got to really want it, though. And I don't know. I mean, so far, I'm seeing like some mid-tier stuff that's I'm kind of liking. I don't know if we'll need the value. Julius Randle is 8-8, and I got to say, man, the man's deserved it. He's going for 62 straight games. We know Tibbs is going to play him. Tibbs played him 44 minutes against Cleveland. That was not an overtime game. That was Tibbs playing Randle 44 minutes because Randle was just playing like a beast. Triple-double, 11. The assist numbers this year have been consistent. Against Philly, he really didn't get it going, but they didn't really play well. But against the Pacers, 9 assists, Milwaukee 7, Cleveland 11. You got Mitch Robb and Nerlens Noel, who are constantly getting in foul trouble, which allowing Randle to play even more minutes and picking up minutes at the 5. So I know he's 8-8, but he's earned it. Now, playing a team like Toronto, we'll have to see what happens. The game's got to be close for him to do it. But if you look at that price before you freak out, I mean, he's earned it. Don't get me wrong. I'm a little uncomfortable paying that price tag for him too, but it's new. And, they say to try new things in the new year, right? Is it a thing if it's New Year's Eve, right? Because on New Year's Day, I think it's if you play that guy, you got to play him. Whoever you play that day, you're playing the whole year. That's the New Year's game. Pascal Siakam has some upside. Knicks defensively, I think will struggle in this position against bigs and really against everybody, right? That it's not a great defensive team at the moment. Although Tibbs is trying to change that, and I think he's done a pretty good job relative to where they started. Mr. Zion coming off a terrible game against Phoenix. But again, that game was just never close. And you can see the damage that he's done. He can cause some serious damage to this Thunder team. A guy like Basley having to cover him or something like that, not pretty. Not pretty. Horford's okay. Don't love it. You know who I do like, but is obviously a risk, is Marvin Bagley. Marvin Bagley, who Paulie D shout out to Paulie D. He had a really good day the other day. Not the 30th, the 29th, I guess. And he had Bagley left with like nobody else in front of him. And they didn't bring Bagley in to close. And that was just super disappointing because he would have taken first. He still won like 700, took like top 5 finish or something. But what really sucked was he could have easily gotten first had he gotten the closing run. And I'm not sure why he didn't. It was a close game. But looking at the minutes now, I understand they went through a 4 and 6, 3 and whatever, 3 and 5, whatever you want to call it, right? 3 and 4 situation, right? They played on the 26th, 27th, and the 29th. But if you notice the minutes, they're kind of staggering with 27, 21, 27, 23. So I wonder if it was intentional. I wonder if they're on a weird type of limitation, not wanting to play him back-to-back games of more than 23 minutes or 21 minutes or whatever. So if that cycle, if it's a coincidence, then we'll probably get fucked here. But if it's not a coincidence, maybe he plays more of the minutes. And at 5-3, we know he's got the upside to completely smash that against Houston, right? Team we expect to play fast, a lot of rebound action, a little bit of Jay Crowder revenge. For those of you that really want to go deep with that revenge shit, though, you should probably chill a little bit. I don't need to go overboard with anything. We'll move over to centers. So Embiid is he the most expensive? No, Harden's the most expensive. Embiid's up there. He's one of the studs. Again, not a whole ton of studs. He's obviously looked good. He's playing Orlando. We know this, but I kind of like Tobias. Not to say you couldn't, do like a game stack or whatever. I certainly could do a game stack and kind of play them both. Definitely possible. But I don't know. 10K on this slate when I don't really like the value. Maybe some of that changes and we get some different shit opening up. Maybe. But I don't know. I think I might rather play Vooch on the other side, man. But Vooch, this is a revenge spot for Vooch. He's been with Orlando for a minute, and he's doing well over there. But I know he always plays well against Philly. He's 8,700, but I know he always plays well against Philly. And if Embiid only goes for 50, and Vooch, who goes for 50 pretty regularly, or at least regularly enough, and you're saving that money to get the same result, you're in a pretty good position. Isn't it crazy that Randall is now more expensive than Vooch? It's just crazy. Just crazy. Really good spot for Rudy Gobert. I don't really play him much, but the rebounds are back, right? Like we know he's not a big usage guy. He's not going to take a ton of shots, but look at the rebounds, man. And the blocks, obviously, against OKC was block city. But Phoenix is really bad against bigs. So I think it's going to be rebounds galore from Mr. Gobert. I don't mind Aiden. Don't love picking on Gobert. He's just a big dude. And Aiden's kind of look like shit. It's not all his fault. His minutes have been down also. Christian Wood. What are people going to do with Christian Wood? So obviously Christian Wood is not going to get no 44 or 37 minutes because Boogie is back. But I'm not sure how many minutes they're going to want to play Boogie anyway. So Christian Wood could still end up seeing decent minutes. And his price really didn't go up much, right? Just 100 here. So I think while Harden, I'm a little like, Christian Wood, I'm not totally off of just yet at this moment. 11:37 p.m. The night before. I'll put it like that. Adams at 5'7". Yep. It's been okay. Price is okay. Nothing but working in some tournaments. That's about it. How many of you, leave me in the comments what you think of Boogie. I want to hear in the comments. This is what I want to see in the comments. And maybe, I think we're going to start doing like a comments of the day segment. If I can remember on the next early look, I'm going to look through the comments on YouTube, kind of pick the comment of the day. talk about. But I want to hear your comments. What are your thoughts, predictions on Boogie Cousins 5K DraftKings against his former team, the Kings? I think he's well past that Kings bullshit, but his career really hasn't gone anywhere since he's left, and it's not his fault, man. I think he's a baller. It's just injuries. But 5K for Boogie on a slate where we don't love the value, that's hard to pass up. And the rest is all bullshit. If there's injury, we'll take a look. But I'm not crazy interested. Maybe some Mitch Rob action. Mitch Rob, shout out to him, man. Getting 30 minutes in the last 2 games because he avoided foul trouble enough. Did eventually get into it against Cleveland, but hey, played 32 minutes. Shout out to him. But yeah. Anyway, Nation, that's going to do it for this early look. Appreciate those of you hanging out with me late night. See you guys in the chat, keeping it rolling. Joe K, what's up, man? Is there still a listener league? Not for NFL? No. No. We cut that after, I think it was 2 weeks ago. I know Joe won it at least once, maybe twice. I know you had some good. But no NFL listener league. I see Luka. Yeah, definitely. Luka's been struggling. I can see it. Sam, conditioning always been a concern with Boogie. Buyer beware. Here we go. I'm seeing Steven projecting 15 to 20 minutes. Want to hear everybody's thoughts. Leave it in the comments. That's going to do it. Hit the like button. Appreciate those of you hanging out. Don't forget to check us out at WiseTake.com. We have my projections that I use are up there for FanDuel and DraftKings. We've got cheat sheets. We've got Paulie D's fast break sheet, which is really to give you his thoughts real quick. Player pool, cash game core, GPP core, all that good shit in a condensed format. I write a little more of in depth of an article where I go over my core plays for cash tournaments, all that good shit. Once we get news, once we finish doing our research. And of course, we have our pre-lock live stream Monday through Friday, where me and Paulie hop on about 45 minutes prior to lock. We go live with those subscribed, and we discuss some of the news that had come out. We discuss position by position, game by game, whatever we feel like doing, and take some questions from the nation in our attempt to do dirties. So go check us out. You can get a day pass if you want to try it out. $2.50 all the cost. That's it. It's obviously cheaper if you do the monthly and all that shit, but for $2.50, you can at least try it out. See if it's for you. That's going to do it. Hit the like button. Appreciate all you. And again, have a very happy, safe, healthy, money-filled New Year. For myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.
Yeah.